when you're on your period, pretty much everything sucks, right? Like pretty much everything sucks. You're crampy, you're bloating. Maybe you don't feel your sexiest. Maybe you feel turned on, but you're not feeling your sexiest. You're like, ugh, like I'd really love to have an orgasm right now, but I'm really not like feeling like doing the whole damn thing. But sex doesn't have to suck. And sex on your period doesn't have to suck either. Period sex can actually probably make your menstrual phase of your cycle a little more enjoyable. I'm Rachel, and you're listening to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. All right, you guys, before we get into this episode, I have to give it up one more time for shagrag.com. It's shagragg.com. If you've been listening to the past couple of episodes, you've heard me talk about this product, but it is my very first ever waterproof blanket. I have been wanting one of these for literally so long, at least over a year, and I just never pulled the trigger on getting one. So when this company, their women-owned business, by the way, when they reached out to me with the interest in coming on the show and being a sponsor of the show, I was like, yes, please sign me up. Now it's been a few weeks and I've had a chance to use this blanket. It has been incredible. I've been able to wash it with no problems. I was worried. I'm like, is it going to come out of the washing machine all frayed and like the material is not going to be as good? No, if you follow the care instructions that you get when you order this, it's going to come out just as it did when you got it brand new. And this is designed to protect your sheets from the wetness that we get during sex, whether that be if you're using lubes or oils or lotions or anything like that, not to mention the fluids and things that come up when we're having sex. So whether or not you're having period sex, if you're a squirter, this blanket is going to be your go-to. It's going to be your new best friend, honestly. It keeps the bedding dry, like legitimately keeps the bedding dry. We even used it. This is so funny. We hosted a boudoir shoot here at my home and we used it. We did wet sessions and we use it almost as like a flooring for the girls to step on so that my actual carpet in my home didn't get wet, and it worked perfectly. So all day having women standing on this blanket with water dripping on it nonstop throughout the day, my carpet underneath so dry. So dry. So this thing works for many, many different occasions. It's handmade in Santa Cruz, California. Again, women-owned business. They use water-based inks. It's eco-friendly. It's printed in the US. I mean, what more could you want, honestly, from a product? So if you haven't yet went to their website, shagrag.com, and grabbed yourself a blanket, there's so many different patterns that you can choose from. Just very fun and patterns that you probably haven't seen on moisture-proof blankets before. They're very, very unique. So head over to there, grab yourself a waterproof blanket, and make sure you use code wellness10 at checkout. That's going to save you 10% on your order. So wellness10 at checkout. And again, the website is shagragg. All right, y'all. Oh, I can't wait to hear it. If you get one, let me know. Shoot me a DM, tag me when yours arrives. I would love to be able to share this. And I just would love to hear from you guys what your experience is and which pattern you decide to get for yourselves. Okay, y'all. Have a great day. Enjoy this episode, and I'll see you on the flip side. Hello, hello, hello. We are back. Another episode, a juicy episode. It's funny to say juicy episode when I'm talking about period sex. Sorry, not sorry. That's the way my brain works. Also, when I was getting dressed today, I was like, let me wear red also to just fit the theme of this topic today that we're recording about. Also, I'm in a phase of my life right now where I'm really trying to do some intentionality and work around healing my root chakra. And so red is the color of your root chakra. And so that's another reason why I'm wearing red today. I'm going to go get my nails done later today, my toes done too. We're going red, 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 red all around. The theme of today is red. So I hope you enjoy that. And I'm also taking a risk. I'm recording here on a Tuesday, which is our garbage day. I have deliveries coming today. So we'll see if we can get through this episode without the dogs interrupting us, barking their heads off at anybody that decides to walk by or drive by, or the sound of any large trucks. They are accustomed to that sound now. So anyways, although the garbage did come already today, so that's a good sign. So we got one out of the way. All right. So this topic was actually inspired by just some recent conversations, recent conversations in my own personal life, things that I've heard friends say, like here's the concept, right? Like, girl is on her period, sex is totally off the table. Like, how many times have you maybe said, or you've heard somebody say, oh, well, we didn't have sex this week because I'm on my period, or we couldn't have sex yesterday because I was on my period. And yeah, I'm even guilty of this. Like, I am even guilty of this. I've been somebody that has been kind of grossed out by the thought of period sex. And yeah, so I have been just like putting some consciousness around this and really thinking through this more, also with being someone that tracks her cycle now religiously. It is definitely a part of my day-to-day, knowing where I'm at in my cycle. Danny knowing where I'm at in my cycle, that has changed our marriage a lot for both of us to know and kind of be on the same page of what to expect. Currently in my luteal phase. I call this my tapeworm phase also, because I just want to eat everything when I'm in luteal. So anyways, but yeah, it's just, if you think about it, it's kind of sad. It's sad when there's this thing in our life that we feel just like has to take away something. Like, no, my body is doing this natural thing, it's bleeding, so I can't indulge in pleasure. I can't do penetrative things. I can't do XYZ, It just reminds me of like middle school days, right, where you would be in swim class and the girls would be like, I can't swim today, I got my period. Those days are over. There are so many reasons why you can still go swimming when you're on your period, and things that you can wear. Now, there's like, we're going to talk about all the things, but specifically focusing on period sex for this topic today. And we're going to cover some benefits of having period sex. Yes, there are actual benefits to having period sex for both the person that is having the period and the person that they're having sex with. And also some tips around period sex. And we're also going to specifically discuss what if it's your partner that doesn't want to have sex? What if you, the person that's menstruating, are totally fine? You're totally down for period sex, but it's your partner that is actually the one that's like, ew, no, gross, that's disgusting, I don't want to do that. And so we're going to cover some things too to help navigate around that. And if you follow me on social, you may have taken part in the polls that I did last week to promote this episode. I wanted to get feedback specifically from my followers, and I was really just curious. I wanted to know, like, how many people out there are currently having period sex? How many people are taking it off the table? What's been your overall experience with period sex? And yeah, just like kind of like what did you think about it? Was it just like, yeah, no big deal? Or were you like a no, no way, not for me type of person? So I do plan to actually share those results as well. So if I can pull up these screenshots here, I can share those with you, because I was intentional and actually did share, or remember to go back and screenshot my results. So let's start with that actually, while I have it pulled up here so that I don't get distracted throughout the rest of this episode. Okay, so the first question I asked on my story was, have you ever had period sex? 74% of you said yes, and 26% of you said no. Again, I have 8,000 people on my social media. Not sure how many people took in part in this, but 74% were yes, and 26% were a no. So majority of people on my current social media following have had sex. If yes, what were your thoughts? 70% 70%, again, majority of people, 70% said no big deal. 15% said, ew, so gross, never again. And 15% also said, it's the best sex in my opinion. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Anybody? And I put that as an option specifically because I've heard this before. I've heard somebody say like period sex is the best sex. Orgasms, pleasure while on your period are the best orgasms. And we'll actually cover some of that in this episode when we talk about the benefits. So then I asked, if no, why? Why haven't you decided to try this or decided to partake in this? And one person, again, I'm going to share these anonymously, but one person said, I'm just worried that my partner will see the blood and get grossed out. Totally understand. We're going to cover that as a fear in this episode too. And then I did have somebody say that my husband thinks that it's gross. So as we said, I'm already going to cover those here as well. And just in general, I did ask again, like why, there was another one, if no, why not? Someone else said, I'm definitely just not feeling sexy or wanting to be intimate at all during my period. So I'll talk on, actually, let me just touch base on that real quick. Generally, when we're on our period, yes, we might be experiencing cramping and bloating and all of that, but generally your sexual desire is starting to increase, mainly towards like middle end of your period. So maybe like day 3, 4, 5. And generally on day 3, 4, 5, also you're probably bleeding less than you were on days 1 or 2. Just want to throw that out there. But on days 3, 4, 5, like middle of period to end of period, your oh my God, what is the fucking hormone? Now I'm not gonna be able to think of it. Your sex hormone. It's the estrogen or the progesterone? I can't, okay, don't quote me on this again. I'm not a hormone expert. We've talked about this on so many podcasts. Go listen to the hormone, but generally that hormone, that sex hormone that I cannot think of right now is spiking during that time. And so a lot of people say that they're actually super horny when they're on their period. So maybe if that's you, if you're someone that's feeling just like, if you're not feeling horny, if you're not feeling turned on, if you're not feeling like you're wanting pleasure when you're on your period, perhaps doing some like checking your hormones. Again, I have several episodes around hormone balancing and hormone hacks and all of that good stuff. So definitely check those out. Check them out. That was like what was that, like a Fergie or Gwen Stefani song? Check it out. Okay, this is why I don't have my phone in my hand while I podcast record, because I get so distracted. All right, last thing I want to share though from the things, and then I'm gonna put my phone down. We're gonna get into this episode. Tell me about your period sex experience. And so one woman said, my cramps get so bad when I'm on my period and orgasms are like Tylenol. Yes, girl. Needless to say, Hubs approves. Yes. Orgasms, I remember saying to Danny one time, I'm like, can you please like orgasm my cramps away? Can you please give me an orgasm to like get rid of these cramps? Or I've been like, I need to go masturbate real quick. My cramps are so bad. Like I don't maybe really feel like engaging in sex right now. Like I need a 30 seconds and I'm done and I'm good. But please excuse me for a moment and I'll be back within less than a minute. So yeah, and orgasms are like that natural Tylenol because again, orgasms are releasing your happy hormone, your relaxation hormones, all the feel good things. So of course, orgasms are said to be a natural pain reliever. So when you're having those cramps, orgasms can definitely help. Next woman said, it wasn't bad, but after I had really bad cramping. I don't cramp after the first day, and this was the 4th day. So that can also be common, because you're mixing things up in there. So I would say if this happened to you once, don't cancel it out that it's possibly going to happen every single time. I would say to give it another try. And also sometimes cramping after orgasms in general can be something that women experience. So it may or may not have been because you were menstruating. So just want to make that clear. Okay, next person said, I enjoyed the extra lubrication, but fighting thoughts of shame due to societal conditioning. Yes. society tells us. Somebody along the way when we were growing up told us that period sex was gross and period sex was bad. But yeah, extra lubrication. It's actually one of the benefits that I had listed on here too. And then the last person said it's not my first choice, but when you want it, you want it. Throw down a towel and just do it, or do it in the shower. Everyone wins. Yes. See, some of these women on my social media, like you already got it. You know half these things that I've already talked about. We're talking about in this episode. A couple more I want to share here from Facebook. Didn't realize I was on until we finished. Great sex, serious cleanup. I love period sex. I use a menstrual cup that can be used during sex so there's no mess. We're going to talk about that. Allows me to last longer and adds a little allows me to last longer and add a little bit of Just Like Me. That's the water-based lubricant that you've heard me mention before that I sell. And 11 out of 10 best sex, both for me and hubby. Somebody else said makes sex extra juicy. Yes, it does. And also, last person said, my wife has a regular period, so sometimes we would find out during. Bothered her, but no big deal to me. So as you see, there's a variety and of a whole range of answers when it comes to period sex. So of course, you are your own person. You are your own person. You're going to make your own decision about how you feel when it comes to period sex. But I'm hoping that this episode can maybe alleviate some, like that one woman said, like because of societal norms. I'm hoping that I can maybe just flip the script on some of those things that we have been conditioned to over life, and the shame that has came with that. So quick story, and I will jump into this. This is a very, very short story. I have two grandmas in my life, two, biological grandmas. And one grandma, my Nan, was my like just your typical old-fashioned grandma, like sits in her rocker chair, watches Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, drinking her water out of a jumbo mug, like typical old-fashioned grandma. Love her. That was my Nan. Miss her every single day. And then I had my Nana. My Nana was what I would call my young grandma. She had my mom at a very young age, and she was just like, I'm going to say the cool grandma, like the cool, like grandma that swore, grandma that would kind of like let me break the rules, like that grandma. And so I remember driving in the car with her one day, and I had to have been late high school year, so maybe junior, senior. I was having sex. I remember that. So sometime after the age of 14. And I remember asking her, Nana, what happens if somebody has sex when they're on their period? Like, can people do that? And she's like, yeah, why not? And I'm like, well, what happens? She goes, I guess it's just messier sex then. Like, that was the conversation. So thank you, Nana, who I'm pretty sure does not listen to this podcast, but thank you for that advice, because I've had period sex. I've had period sex plenty of times. And I will say too, I'm not somebody that is a heavy bleeder. So I know that there's listeners out there that you're a heavy bleeder. Maybe you're somebody with endometriosis or PCOS. And so periods really, 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 really fucking suck for you. And I want to normalize that. I want to again say that this is your choice. If period sex is not for you, it's not for you. If period sex has not been for you solely because of the shame or things that you have been told on your life, not because of anything physically happening in your body, then this is the episode that I'm hoping, as we said, can help flip the script. So first things first, when it comes to period sex, first of all, periods are normal. Periods are a natural thing that occurs in the body. It's not as if we are choosing to bleed every single month. I don't think that women in general would choose to have a period and bleed every single month. So it's normal and natural that this is happening. So why are we shaming ourselves? Why are we allowing other people to shame us around this thing when it literally happens to every female at some point in her life? It's happening. This cycle is happening. So that's number one. Second, when you're on your period, pretty much everything sucks. right? Like pretty much everything sucks. You're crampy, you're bloating. Maybe you don't feel your sexiest. Maybe you feel turned on, but you're not feeling your sexiest. You're like, ugh, like I'd really love to have an orgasm right now, but I'm really not like feeling like doing the whole damn thing. But sex doesn't have to suck. And sex on your period doesn't have to suck either. Period sex can actually probably make your menstrual phase of your cycle a little more enjoyable. Just saying, can make it a little bit more enjoyable. And you can really avoid some of this shame and embarrassment because period sex is actually not nearly as messy as people think it is. Again, I know there's women out there that have super, super heavy periods, but in general, on average, when we're in our menstrual phase, we bleed about 6 to 8 teaspoons of blood, again, on average. So 6 to 8 teaspoons of blood, and that's generally not all at one time. If you're someone that has a 7 day cycle, that's going to be over the progression of those 5 to 7 days. If you're in the same category as me, I'm a 3-dayer, and so it's like that's not a lot of mess, really. And there's sometimes that people have had sex, or I've experienced this. We've had sex, and I'm like, oh shit, like I forgot, like I'm on my period. Maybe I was in the middle, maybe I was at the end, like I totally forgot. And so in my mind, I'm like, ooh, I wonder, I wonder what this is gonna look like once we're done here. And a lot of times it's like you don't even realize, like having, if you didn't know, or if that other person didn't know that you're having sex, you might not even realize that you were having period sex, or that there was a mess. Sometimes I've noticed like there's just been like little red balls, almost like discharge and the dryness and the other fluids that our body is producing during sex, and with the friction and everything, it's like just these like little balls, like little red balls appear, and they're so easy. It's not like a literally like a bloody massacre, like blood is dripping all down your body. And I've personally not experienced that. And also how long is actually the sex? So if you're thinking, the average length of sex is 5 to 7 minutes from point of penetration, and that 5 to 7 minutes, maybe you're having sex longer than that, but in that time frame that you're having sex, how much blood do you actually think that your body is going to be producing in that time? So those are my segues into this episode. Now, covering the benefits of period sex, as I already mentioned, increased sex drive during your menstruation. That is a thing. I've already covered that, so I'm not going to dive too much into that. But again, increased sex drive, if you're withholding this thing that you know is going to bring your pleasure, especially when you're craving pleasure, why? It's so dumb. Why are we withholding this from ourselves? Natural lubrication, that is another thing that I mentioned. But you have your menstrual fluid, you have your uterine lining, you have your natural lubrication that your body is producing, and then the blood from menstruation, that's because your uterine lining is shedding. That's why the bleeding occurs. But all of that mixed together just increases our natural lubrication. So for someone that experiences dryness on a regular basis, period sex could be the answer. Period sex could actually be the most enjoyable time for you to have sex because you have that natural lubrication going. As we already mentioned, it relieves period symptoms. So orgasms, sex, pleasure, all of that, we're releasing those happy hormones that can help relieve your period cramps. It can also help relieve headaches. Again, orgasms are a natural pain reliever. So if you're feeling crappy on your period, maybe an orgasm is just what you need. Perhaps give it a try. Okay. And another benefit of this, as I mentioned, when you decide to like say yes to period sex and the thought and concept of period sex, you're no longer ruling out sex for an entire week of each month. That's a long time, you guys, a whole 7 days every single month. That leaves you another 21-ish days to be able to have sex. And most people that I know are not having sex every single day. But when you take out those others a whole week to not be able to have sex, that doesn't leave many other options to be able to be intimate with your person. Okay, so those are some of your benefits. Let me take a sip of water. Now we're going to go into the tips that I have for you around period sex. So first one, of course, is always, I feel like first tip for everything that I talk about and mention on this podcast is going to be communication. So talking about if you're the person that has the fears around period sex, let's say, for instance, in your partnership, your partner is like, I don't care if you're on your period, like, let's do it, and you're the one that's like, ooh, I don't know. Talking about your fears with your partner can be super beneficial, and hearing from them again, like them hearing your fears, them validating you, them hearing you and saying, look, this isn't something that I'm even thinking about. I'm just happy to have this intimate time with you. And same thing when the roles are reversed and your partner is the one that's saying, that they have, if they're a no, they have some fears, they have some thoughts around this. So asking them what it is that they fear, what it is that what kind of is their resistance and what's holding them back, and then being able to talk through some of these things with us. Most of the time when I talk with people and with men specifically, and I say, adding period sex as an option in your life is potentially adding more days in your calendar month that you can have sex. If you and your partner are on the same page, you're never going to hear that again. Like, no, I'm on my period. Not never, but less frequently will you hear, no, I'm on my period. Oh, we can't have sex because I'm on my period. It's defeating. It sucks to hear that for both of you, really. Another tip I have is for you to prep your body. So washing up, doing any sort of prep that you feel like is going to be, make you feel more comfortable. Prepping your area too. So laying down a towel, even laying down maybe a moisture proof blanket. The ones that actually the sponsor of this episode, Shag Rag, that is a perfect option for you to be able to use during period sex, just to have that moisture. It's not going to stain your sheets or anything like that, so you take that worry off of the table. So prepping your body, prepping your space and area before having period sex is definitely going to be beneficial to you. Then the other option is that there are menstrual discs and cups out there that you can actually wear. So if you're switching over to a disc or a cup instead of using tampons and pads and things like that, they have, like, Cora has a good menstrual disc. Flex disc is another option. I mean, you can find these in Target, you can find these online, Amazon. Do your research, find which ones you feel aligned with you, and read reviews, of course, always. But Cora is the one. We almost made it, friends. FedEx drove by. Bane Tater went crazy. Gave me time though to eat an entire Jolly Rancher, so that's the silver lining. Anyways, what I was saying is Cora is the disc that I was recommended by a friend. You've heard her on the podcast before, Jordan Donnell. She is a PA and a women's sex coach as well. And she really likes Cora, and that's what she refers to her patients for. So check out Cora, but also, again, any menstrual disc that you do your research on and you think is going to work for you. And also, if you try one and it doesn't work well, try a different one. Try another brand. Try, maybe the fit wasn't right. There could be many things. Okay, as you said, prepping your space again. So blanket, wipes. I didn't mention wipes. Wipes, the lighting even. Maybe it could be as simple as turning off the lights, maybe using your color changing light bulbs that I always recommend, and setting the setting to red. But just having those quick cleanup things, having the lights off, maybe then you don't even see the blood and it's like out of sight, out of mind, Okay, changing location is another tip for you. So perhaps just having sex in the shower. That's actually what one of our social media people said. Having sex in the shower, it's like the water is going to wash it away so quickly. Essentially, you're not even going to notice that there is any blood that's there anyways. And again, the blood is so minimal, you guys. The blood that's happening is so minimal. So shower sex can be a good option for you. switching things up for the orgasm. So switching positions, using different types of sex. So using sex toys, things like that. Maybe you still have sex, but you just take penetration off the table. There's been plenty of times that has happened in our relationship. It's like, I really want an orgasm right now. I don't necessarily feel like having penetrative sex, but I would love for you to use my vibrator on me, like use your hands on me, like do something like that, to be able to give me the orgasm. And as a woman that's really good at asking for what she wants sexually, my husband delivers very well on those things. So switching things up, like switching and getting more into manual sex or dry humping even. Oh, listen to that episode. Bring dry humping back. Get yourself some pleasure, get yourself that orgasm. Maybe it doesn't have to include penetration. And then if it is including penetration, last tip for you, switching up your position. Maybe you have sex with you on your back. Gravity really helps if you have sex on your back and your legs are up, that gravity is going to help kind of keep things inside, not so free flowing, if you will. So that isn't my last final tip for you. Then the last thing that I wanted to cover on here, again, because I knew this would come up, but what if it is my partner that doesn't want to have period sex? What if I'm the one that wants to have it and I'm totally fine with it, doesn't bother me, but my partner is the one that's like, ew, no, gross. Asking them, going back to the communication piece of this, like, again, asking them specifically what is holding them back. Some people just in general don't like the sight of blood. So it really could be something as simple as that. And I think that it's important that we ask our partners why, because a lot of times I think that we women make it a lot worse in our heads, like what they might be thinking, like, oh, they're going to think I'm gross. They're going to think I smell bad, like all these things, when in reality, it could be, again, just something as simple as they're squeamish around blood. Another instance that I heard is that a man didn't like having sex with his woman while she was on her period, because when he saw the sight of blood, his mind instantly went to the point that he thought he was hurting her, right? Like blood equals pain. So in his mind, he thought that he was hurting her. And it wasn't until they had that conversation that then and she said, no, actually, if this feels really good for me, it's not painful at all. Like, I'll let you know if pain comes up, but in general, period sex is actually really good and enjoyable for me. So that helped him kind of get over his hunch or his hump of not wanting to have period sex. And in reality, shame is not cool. To shame your partner again for this natural thing that is happening for her on a monthly basis that she essentially, I say that lightly, doesn't have control over, right? Like, unless she's going to get a hysterectomy so that she doesn't have periods anymore, or she's on some form of birth control, or she chooses to get on some form of birth control that she's not going to have periods anymore, which I do not recommend. Periods are a natural, essential part of our day-to-day life for women. So shame is not cool, y'all. Shame is not cool. If you're shaming your lady for having a period and you're taking period sex off of that table because of shame, that ain't cool. That ain't cool. All right. Reminding your partner again that putting period sex on the table equals more potential sex for them. Again, a lot of times that's all it takes. Like that one line, like, if we have period sex, that actually opens up more opportunities for more frequent sex to happen. That's all a lot of men need to hear is, oh, okay, yes. And sometimes even women, like a lot of women I know are wanting to have more sex. So again, telling them why you enjoy it. So giving them that education around orgasms, happy hormones, orgasms equal pain relief for my cramps, for my headaches, for my moodiness, even a lot of times. So kind of giving them that education so they understand why orgasm is important and okay during period sex. And also just letting this be known that you might be their first period sex partner. They might have had partners in the past where period sex has been off the table, or their partners have been like, no, I'm on my period, we're not having sex. Like, it's been a hard no. So you might be the first lady in their life essentially that is okay with this thing. And so it's going to take some work, right? Especially if it's a thing that kind of like throws them off, versus if you're the first woman in their life that wants to have anal sex and they've been wanting to have anal sex for their entire life, like, yay, they're all on board. But period sex, again, I don't find that, I shouldn't say that, because there are many people out there with period sex fetishes. They love the, having sex during periods. So again, you might be their first partner. So communication around this, you guys, is so, so, so important. Going in with that open mind, not placing judgment on either partner, and just talking through this. And again, going back to that prepping your body, prepping the space, that really helps ease them into it. So maybe you start by having period sex in the shower. And then, that's really, I would think a lot of people, that's going to be the easiest thing. Though there's people like me that I can't stand shower sex. So no shower sex for me, but easing them into it. Then also maybe you're starting for the first time when you're on your period, but it's a lower flow. You're not bleeding as heavily, maybe you're in a spotting phase. So really, slowly easing them into it. And again, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I hope that this episode just gave you some food for thought, really, around the benefits. Maybe I shared some tips with you that you had never thought of or never heard of before. And again, period sex, if for people out there that are wanting more sex in their life, more frequent sex, more connection, this is not even something I had in my notes, but this is just something that came to me. Vulnerability equals connection. If you feel vulnerable during period sex, you or your partner or the both of you, and you're still choosing to engage in that act, vulnerability equals connection. This can be a thing that you can bond over. Again, and bonding happens with orgasm. So looking at it from that aspect too. I can't believe I didn't even write that down in my notes. So yes, I think that's all I have to say on period sex. Check out the link in the bio for the shag rag that I mentioned. That is a sponsor again of this podcast episode today. They are a super great company. The shag rag has been really, really exciting for us to have in our life. It's our first waterproof / moisture resistant blanket that we've had. And it has just made sex in our intention space. That's where we keep it, in the bed in there. And it has just made sex like just taking that worry out of my mind specifically. I guess I'll have to ask Danny about his thoughts on it, but just having that moisture proof blanket has been really, really cool. Especially when exploring with different lubricants and lotions and potions and all of the things. So check out Shag Rag. You can save 10% with the code wellness10, and the link should be in the bio. So, and if you like this episode, of course, hit me up. Tell me, share it on social media, send it to a friend, tag me on social media so I can see that you're listening and that you enjoyed this episode. You can shoot me a DM and be like, oh my God, Rachel, you just opened my mind to period sex. Totally cool. I'm here for it. So, all right. Have a great week. Go and bleed your hearts out happily and healthily. And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you really fucking loved it, make sure to tag me on social media at @TheRachelMain. I'll see you next week.